morning rise and grind. That's what it takes. That's what it takes in order to get this blood flowing, heart pumping. They always say that the early bird gets the worm. If you want a worm. But if you're from a perspective of an eagle, birds eat worms. The eagles eat snakes. So what looks like a worm to an eagle is a snake. They swoop down from real high altitudes to snatch up a snake. And they eat snakes for breakfast instead of worms. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize. The difference between a bird and an eagle, or a chicken and an eagle. The chickens they have a certain mentality. The chicken coop mentality. They stay. They can only fly but 5 or 10 feet off the ground. That's all they can see to their surroundings. They can see their problems. They can see their mess. They can see everything that's pertaining to the right here, right now. A chicken coop mentality person have impaired vision. Meaning that the old saying, you can't see the forest for the trees. They're right here and right now. They wake up every morning looking for that worm. Looking for somebody to feed them every morning. I was on a morning jog about maybe 2 years ago when I discovered that the whole early bird get the worm routine is flawed. And the reason why it's flawed is because God will provide every morning a worm for the bird. They don't have to work for the worm. As I was walking, I had got to the place where I could actually start cooling off and start walking. And I noticed like 10 birds on a line. And they was all sitting up there, which I thought it was normal for birds to be on a line. Then I realized it was just right when the sun started coming up. And in my mind, it might have been breakfast time. And breakfast time, if they on the line and the saying is the early bird gets the worm, I would assume that they was looking for a worm. But as I realized, right below the the power line that the birds was on the sidewalk right next to the grass or the dirt. I also noticed something that was the strangest thing I have ever seen as it relates to birds. There was about 15 or 20 worms swarming on the ground. Don't know where they came from. Didn't see a hole they come out of. They were literally on the sidewalk. Now I understand nature, but worms don't come out of the concrete. Worms come out of the ground. And if I know that a worm trying to survive like everybody else, they wouldn't have come out of the ground only to lay on the concrete where they'd be in harm's way. It was then that I realized that those worms was being prepared for the birds. So, going back to that saying, the early bird gets the worm, those birds wasn't flying down to attack the worms. So in my mind, I figured the birds might have been either ate already and they're full, or maybe they was getting ready to eat. But the point of the matter is, it was enough worm. It was more worms than birds. 10 birds, 20 worms. So, which made me realize that it's not the early bird that get the worm, because God is so good, every bird get a worm. Whether you're early, late, or indifferent, God will provide a worm for you. And you ain't gotta fight for the worm. He'll come out the ground and lay down. With that being said, if that's the only thing you look forward to every day and one is a worm, then by all means, eat and be merry. But in the world of an entrepreneur, I might eat the worm, but that worm is not all that I need. So coming from the perspective of an eagle, in perspective it looks like a worm that I'm going down there for, because it's small. But it's only small because I'm at a much greater distance. And when I swoop down to grab the snake becomes my worm. Snake have more nutrients. Snake is bigger. It's the most satisfying meal. But here's the reason why it's so satisfying as a meal. Because snakes are enemies. And there's nothing more satisfying than swooping down on one of your enemies and eating one of your enemies for breakfast. That means that you have to be up early to be ahead of your enemy, because while you up in the morning preparing for your day, the enemy is still asleep, getting comfortable, not even thinking about what's coming. And as soon as he peeks his head out of his door and he thinks he's got his own thing going, if you ahead of the game, if you're a true bird in the form of an eagle, you can swoop down on top of his head and eat him before he eats you. or eat him before he spews out his poison against you in the morning. Most of the time, the poison is not effective if you got a strong prayer life, you got a strong work ethic, and you're able to treat people with dignity and respect. Whatever he say, which is his venom, his words is his venom, whatever he say won't affect you because you already got the antidote. The antidote is the word of God. The antidote is the power of life and death in the tongue. Now understand that to everybody else, the snake is dangerous, venomous, and a threat to your own well-being. But to the eagle, who has more than a bird's eye view, he's able to see the whole playing field. He can see the whole forest at one time. He can see the whole area at one time. He's not waiting on the worm to be fed. In fact, the eagle has already eaten a belly full of worms. And by the time the snake comes out of the hole, he's on his second meal. So he's ready for the haters. He's ready for the snakes, the backstabbers, the backbiters, and all the people who wish him harm and tries to cause harm to his life. Everything has its place and purpose in life. But you understand that when you're on the right side of the equation, see, the eagle don't have nobody hunting him. He look up in the sky, ain't nobody up there but God. He look down below, he got the whole world at his feet. So, with that being said, you have to decide on a daily basis if you're going to be a chicken in a chicken coop that's only able to fly 5 or 10 feet, if you're going to be a bird waiting on the power line for a worm every morning, or if you're going to be that eagle that's able to fly high, able to see further, and able to kill one of the most deadly predators on earth and eat him for breakfast. Your haters are what validates you. Your enemies are what promotes you to the next level. Because without haters, you have no purpose in life. You don't get hated on for doing nothing. You get hated on for being prominent. You get hated on for being important. You get hated on for being in a position to help others. Because once you are able to successfully help others, then you will be able to see your true purpose in life, and you'll know your haters. Gotta have a bird's eye view, baby. Can't be in a chicken coop looking around at other chickens. So, morning grind, or rise and grind, trying to be up before the haters, trying to be up before the enemy. Even if the enemy's up right now, he ain't training, he just looking. He probably looking for me to see if I'm gonna snatch him up. He ain't worried about getting ready. I got somebody on here viewing, I don't know who it is. I hope it ain't me looking at myself, but whoever it is, I got a message for you this morning. I'm gonna switch from the eagle to the lion, king of the jungle. As it relates to that venomous poison that people try to put on your name, listen to this. Lions don't lose sleep from the opinions of sheep. If they are not on your level, they shouldn't affect your ability to get the job done. Only other lions are a threat to your day-to-day. Keep that in mind. Only other lions should be a threat. So, keep pushing, keep moving, and I believe that God is going to bless you abundantly. And abundance meaning that there are going to be other people that's going to benefit from your direct blessing. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, rich or poor. Get yourself in position to be a blessing, and other people are going to be blessed by what God has done for you in your life. You may not know it, but there are people that's surviving right now from your blessing. If you was to be cut off, they would fall. As long as God got you in position, they surviving off you right now. They eating off your back. They surviving off your blessings. They prospering off of your prayers. They getting full off of your leftovers. They're begging for crumbs right now. And your crumbs are a blessing to them right now. So they getting off your back. I was watching the Animal Planet. He was talking about the hippos. They have these birds that eat the bugs off their back and eat the infection out of their wounds when they get into fights. Those birds are not very big, but I can imagine that as big as the hippos are, that the bug that's on their back, if it's enough to feed several birds, I know that it might be detrimental to the birds. If the hippo dies, they'll probably get a good meal out of him, but once he's gone, they gotta find another hippo to eat off of. They're literally eating the crumbs off his back. The flies off his neck. That's part of life. Everybody has to go through their struggles in life. Everybody has their season for failure. Everybody has their season for success. Some people fall harder than others. Some people fall gracefully. The ones that fall gracefully are the ones that have a purpose. Because when you fall gracefully, you learn from your fall. You learn from your mistakes. You're able to teach people from your mistakes. And it's a graceful fall because so many people are attached to you. So many folks are dependent on you that if you got completely wiped out. Two viewers, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. If you got completely wiped out, then it will be more than one person that has to recover. See, God is always faithful in what he does when he allows you to fall. A lot of times when I make mistakes, not even a lot of times, almost every time, I have to pray not for myself, but I pray for the people that are attached to me, because if they're eating off my back, the fall is going to be harder on them because they was dependent on me. So my prayer is that, Lord, cover me while I recover, but not for my sake only, but for the sake of the people that's attached to me. God knows that certain people he has selected and chosen to do a thing, a purpose. He knows the attachment that he allowed to come with that person. And so sometimes when a leader makes mistakes, instead of the whole flock or the whole group being in disarray, he would allow the leader to fall gracefully so that the people can still, come on somebody, pick him up and help him get back on his feet. See, a leader has to have the right people around him in order for him to continue to move forward. There was a story in the Bible, and I don't want to get it wrong, but I think it was, might have been Joshua, or one of those leaders that came after Moses. Anyway, I think it was Joshua fighting the battle of Jericho, but as long as he had his hands up, his army prevailed. So when his hands started falling, his army started losing. He had enough people around him that cared enough about his leadership that they had one on each arm, holding his arms up so that his army can prevail. Leadership need people like that to hold him up if and when he falls, and have enough faith in God that will pray him through any situation, so that when he falls, he'll fall gracefully and a lot of the people that attach to him won't be in total disarray. So when you can see things from a different perspective, that's really all it takes, is a different perspective. Look at your leadership as leaders instead of gods, because there's only one God, and God placed before us leaders. So look at your leadership as leaders and not gods. I believe that will change one's perspective in life. Because one day you're going to be over somebody and be somebody's leader. And you're going to want them to treat you the same way you treated your leadership. So whether you're going to help hold him up when he falls, or if you're going to X him out and destroy his character when he do something wrong. Just remember, everybody have their season. Your season might not last long as a leader, but you're going to have a season. You don't want to be said that you only failed because you treated your leader poorly. So as a leader, you got treated poorly. Hey, this is my morning workout. These are the thoughts inside the den, baby. Thinking about purpose over privilege. Purpose means that you obligated to a task, whether you want it or not. You have been chosen for a task. That's purpose. Privilege is expecting something for nothing. You wasn't necessarily called, but you expect the privilege of being something that you haven't been called to do. Just because your daddy was a preacher, you expect people to treat you as such, and you haven't even opened up your word yet. Just because your daddy's a king, you expect to be the prince, but you got 3 other brothers who working and you're not doing anything. That's privilege. Just because somebody in your family own a company, you expect them to pass you down the royalties or get paid, and you ain't doing no work. This is my morning grind, baby. Gotta get it. I want to thank y'all who joined. I know I saw 2 people on there. I don't know who the other one is, but they got off. It's all good. Just trying to get some light to you this morning. Shine some light in the dark area. You're an eagle. You can see further. That snake, it looks like a worm, but that snake is your enemy. And he ain't expecting you to be up this early. He still asleep. For the birds, stay on that fence, on that power line, waiting on the worm. That worm might be poison to you. Might not be enough to fulfill you. Don't get comfortable waiting on handouts. Go out there and find something, make something happen. To the chickens, in the chicken coop. Every time you look up in the sky and you see that eagle, it ought to make you want more out of life. That eagle can see everything you're doing The eagle can see everything everybody in your circle doing. And that eagle know how to judge the distance between you and him. Change your mentality from the chicken to the eagle. Get out of that chicken coop. The chicken coop is that group of people that you are in that are doing nothing with their life but hating and backbiting other people. They can't see the forest for the trees. They can only see what's going on inside their world, and that's it. It's a bunch of chickens. They're never going to amount to being an eagle. They can never fly high. They can only stay on the ground. But the part about being on the ground is there are predators on the ground. And you become prey to other predators when you are on the ground, walking around, looking at everybody else. The eagle doesn't have a natural predator because he's too far and they can't breathe up there. Oftentimes what an eagle would do with his prey is snatch him up and take him to the highest place and cut the oxygen off of him. And after the animal dies and passes out, then he takes him and eat him. That's a tactic. They can't fly in your area because you're too high for them. If you're in the water, if God has taken you to the water, he's taking you out there in the water for a reason, because he knows that your enemies can't swim. So get you out there far enough in the water so that your enemies will drown, and then bring you back to dry land. You have to understand where you are, whether you're a chicken or eagle, whether you're in what season you're in, and understand that God has a purpose and a place for your life. And when you realize that, you will stop hanging around. You stop hanging around negative people. You'll stop hanging around absent-minded people. You'll stop hanging around people that has no purpose and no place in life. You'll stop hanging around people that's negative. You'll start looking for the snakes, and you'll start looking for their patterns. You'll start looking for who to trust and who to can't trust. And then when you're able to go as an eagle, you can look down and see that snake. And when he come out of his hole, because you're so far away, he looks like a worm. And then you can say the early bird gets the worm, or the eagle bird gets the snake, gets the enemy, kill him and eat him, and then you're able to live in the light of a different perspective. That's all it takes, is to change your perspective. Are you a chicken or are you an eagle? This your boy Daniel Lyons and Evans. You were inside the den, and this has been my morning workout. I will see you all soon. Have a blessed day. Peace.